Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger, and Mortal Kombat 11 is now at its 1-year anniversary. So hey, happy birthday Mortal Kombat 11! And with that said, in this video I want to talk about a few things about Mortal Kombat 11, both past and future. I want to talk about what Mortal Kombat 11 I think was very smart with when the game came out. Like, it made some, unconventional changes to the usual fighting game system, to say the least, right? And I think some of those were really well done, even if maybe not well received by some people. And also, I want to talk about just what's coming in the future, right? Some ideas we know already, like, hey, Kombat Pack 2 is going to happen. That's not a shocker to anybody. But what are some choices that could do well in the future? So when it comes to Mortal Kombat 11 and things it did that were kind of, away from the usual mold of fighting games, you gotta talk about the meter system, right? So unlike pretty much every fighting game ever that has a meter, normally you build up to your meter and that's it, right? Then you can do your special moves, your EX moves, your whatever you got in mind, right? In Mortal Kombat 11, you start with all your resources. You start topped off. And then you can burn them freely, like say at the start of the round or whatever. You can dump everything right at the start of the round if you so choose, and you can save it from there. And also the defensive gauge. So normally, in a lot of fighting games, you have the one singular bar, and if say you want to have like a reversal invincible move, right? And for some characters that might take a bar to do. So your offensive gauge has now been impacted by you doing a defensive maneuver. And I always like the idea of splitting the two, right? You have your offense gauge and your defense gauge. And of course, we got a upgraded Jackie on the screen right now, right? And over the course of the game's history and the game's balancing, they wound up using a lot of very strong offensive maneuvers, taking up some defensive bar just to make them a little more balanced. Now, will this format ever be repeated ever again in another game? I don't know, but I always just found it's an interesting take, as it's kind of the reverse. You can always count on meter in this game. It's very reliable. It's basically the most reliable of any fighting game. It's always building no matter what you do, and that I just always found was very neat. Other things MK11 did great. Hey, rollback netcode. Everyone loves it. Everybody wants it, right? And we're finally shifting towards a future where rollback netcode, it seems, is finally going to be the standard going forward, with Guilty Gear Strive having rollback netcode. And as of very recent news, Last Blade 2 getting upgraded with rollback netcode, so maybe SNK is finally going to have rollback netcode in KOF 15, I don't know. But anyways, NRS has always had amazing netcode, and has great online features such as, hey, am I fighting someone who has a wired connection, or am I fighting someone who has a wireless connection? All things being equal, I'd always rather fight a wired person, right? And you get to decline wireless people, in player matches anyways. Unfortunately, in ranked, there are those situations where, like, hey, they pinged low originally, so you can't back out, and then as soon as the match starts, the Wi-Fi ping just goes crazy, and it's an unplayable match. And I hope for the future it would be a great thing if I could just decline wireless players no matter what, but hey, whatever. But still, great online play, and at least the fact that you can tell if you're up against a wired or Wi-Fi people, well, that was always fantastic. I loved it. Character customization. Now, granted, it's not the most in-depth character customization, but every little bit just to make your character just a little bit more you. I love it. I remember, I think Virtua Fighter 4 was the first fighting game I ever played with character customization, and it blew my mind, and I wished every game had it going forward, right? More than just simple alternate outfits or stuff like that. Now, that obviously isn't the case, and hasn't happened over a lot of fighting games, but still, I like it. You can have your alternate look, as well as just a couple little key items like, oh, this weapon is this way, this weapon is that way, just to, really define, this is my guy. Like for Collector, ever since I got the little golden baby for his weapon slot, like I was always like, okay, yeah, I'm the golden baby Collector player. I've never seen another Collector player use it. Not that I ever saw too many other Collector players, to be honest with you, but still, like, to me, it was always like, oh, that's identifiably me. I'm the one with the golden baby. Now, for one of the things that I didn't like as much when Mortal Kombat 11 hit the scene again, is they brought back variations. Now, I think variations in Mortal Kombat X was a very worthy experiment. It was absolutely trying once. But I didn't find it an experiment worth doing in the end, because, hey, for most characters, there's always the best variation, right? It's simply cut and dry like that. Some characters have 2 good variations in MKX. There was a couple scenarios where all 3 were useful. And the same problem came back in MK11 in spades, right? okay, we got variations, and here's your good variation, and here's the 2 dumpster variations you don't use. And the worst part is, there's a lot of moves that are in custom variations that are just in no variation period. Some of the more interesting moves in the game, or rather you'd want a variation that has something for variation 1 or variation 2, so you can have the most interesting version of the character, and that is not the case. Variations basically made sure, for the most part, with a couple, rare exceptions, you never had the most interesting version of a character. And in that, I think it was a failure to bring back variations. And another thing, some choices at the start were pretty bad, but they got better over time, like jumps. Jumps in Mortal Kombat 11 were pretty ridiculous for the longest time, right? It was hard anti-air with a lot of characters. Now, some characters could do it pretty easy, right? And those characters were blessed with easy anti-airs where other people kind of just struggled, right? If I did something like Garrus Jump 4, like a lot of people, especially if you time it correctly, it was legitimately super difficult to deal with, even if you knew it was coming. And that has changed for the better over time, but I guess that's one of the things. Changing things over time, some changes were smart, and some NRS sadly seems to be against the community's will. Like, how bad has Shao Kahn been since the game came out, and a seeming refusal to deal with those situations. Now, there's been other problem characters, like I fought long and I fought hard for Kotal Kahn when the game came out, and for months after the game came out, because he's a character I personally am very invested in, along with Shao Kahn, and eventually Kotal got some stuff. It took quite a few patches to get there, right? But Kotal now is a very complete character versus the utter trash fire he was at launch, right? And some other characters just, who knows, dude, like Shao, Raiden, there's another character that's never gotten much love, despite, universally the community is pro the character getting buffs. There's still a lot of hitbox issues that have not been addressed. Some have been, yes. Johnny Cage infamously, having quite a few of those, both for and against. But yeah, so some changes have been great, but some changes are very much asked for, and just NRS seems to turn a blind eye, and I don't know why. Now, with that said, hey, we got a whole another year of the game coming up at minimum, and looking at certain leaks, it looks like we also will be getting a year 3, right? So here's my sincerest hope for, I guess, Season 2, if you want to call it that, for Mortal Kombat 11. With, a lot of issues being unaddressed and all that, I'm kind of hoping they're saving it for a really big balance patch. I'm sincerely hoping for something like the size of the Dragon Ball FighterZ Season 3 patch, which, while obviously not a new game, it made it feel like a new game, and I hope that can happen for Mortal Kombat 11, right? There's a lot of things that are good about Mortal Kombat 11, but there are a lot of things that are, well, less than ideal, right? So I hope they can change around character stuff, mechanic stuff especially, just to give the game a new, really fresh feeling, and bring back, some people that fell off from the train, right? Because a lot of people liked Mortal Kombat 11 launch, and due to this issue or another about how gameplay works, they just sort of fell off the train, and hey, let's bring those players back. So I hope Season 2, whatever it's going to be called, is a big deal, to be sure. Like, character-wise, well, we already know at least half of Combat Pack 2, Shiva, Ash Williams, and Fujin, right? New guest characters could be cool. Hey, maybe Robocop, that was a thing, right? But if I could ask for one change, and one change only, it would be this. So, the variation system, I'm not necessarily going to say get rid of it, but hey, let's just do it this way. Custom variations are applicable in ranked and tournament play. And I think that alone, regardless of any other system changes on top of that and all that other kind of stuff, that alone would breathe so much more life into the game. Now, you could say, well, isn't that going to lead to the situation of, well, okay, here's the quote-unquote best version of the character with this variation, and maybe there's little to no deviation from that? And I say fine, because even if it is the so-called best version of the character, it'll definitely be the most interesting version of the character, right? From a gameplay perspective, from an options perspective, and all that kind of stuff. There are so many characters, if you could just choose what variation options you get, you could have such a more dynamic and interesting character than the current stuck variations we have. So if I could have any one choice, I would absolutely say custom variations is the new route going forward. But yeah, 1 year of Mortal Kombat 11, right? Let me know your thoughts in the comment below. You know, what would you like to see change? What did you like? What did you not like about Mortal Kombat 11? Because, you know, it's not all been sunshine and roses, right? There has been some issues, but let me know your thoughts on the matter. And here's hoping to an awesome Season 2 of Mortal Kombat 11. But anyways, my friends, I guess that's it for this video. So hey, thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and hey, go out and play some Mortal Kombat.